Now, when a trade hits, you think, how's it going to affect not only the team that the player departed from, but obviously the team that the player is acquired by. And then you hear that the team that acquired the player, when you hear that, there was another team in on it. And you're wondering, okay, how's that going to affect things? Very few instances can you see how it affects things within 2 games. Mm-hmm. And it was apparently, for the Carolina Panthers, down to the 49ers or the Rams to say yes to their offers for Christian McCaffrey. They said yes to the 49ers and thus said no to the Rams. And even John Lynch said, and also Kyle Shanahan said, you know what, it's good that not only we get him, but we kept him from our in-division rival. And Christian McCaffrey shows back up in SoFi because his last game as a Panther was against the Rams in SoFi. And he didn't look like this with the Panthers when he was against the Rams in SoFi that day. And he hasn't looked this way for the Panthers in 3 years, quite frankly. Christian McCaffrey that showed up with the San Francisco 49ers in SoFi on Sunday is a Christian McCaffrey that we saw coming off the campus at Stanford and made him the consensus number 1 overall pick in your fantasy leagues. That's the Christian McCaffrey who showed up as the old 49er prospector yesterday. And did he mine for gold or what? He struck it. Apparently, Kyle Shanahan, walking around the halls of the 49ers facility in Santa Clara last week, just asked out loud amongst the coaching staff, does anybody know if Christian McCaffrey can throw the ball?
Really?
Yes. And by the night's end, the tight ends coach sent footage of McCaffrey winging it for Stanford. Lo and behold, that's how the halfback option wound up in the playbook for the 49ers, and Shanahan hit that button on Sunday. And sure enough, it was a beautiful strike for Christian McCaffrey, finding Brandon Ayuk. And then later on, Christian McCaffrey winds up in the end zone, not as a running back, but as a receiver. Now,
that's a good catch.
When Christian McCaffrey was at the 2017 NFL Scouting Combine, and I'm in the booth, I believe this was still Mayock's administration with the NFL Network, and Daniel Jeremiah was also part of the broadcast. We were marveling about how the best prospect running routes as a receiver at the Combine turned out to be a running back. His name was Christian McCaffrey. We're like, oh, okay. So he could do that too, huh? Now, of course, everybody watched Pac-10, I believe, after dark.
Yep.
Knew all about McCaffrey and Stanford. And then McCaffrey runs one in later on, becomes the first player since LaDainian Tomlinson back in 2005 to hit for the trifecta. That is correct. A passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown, all in the same game. Week 6, 2005. But LaDainian Tomlinson did not have 94 yards rushing like Christian McCaffrey. As a matter of fact, McCaffrey became the first player in the Super Bowl ever to have 30 or more rushing yards and the trifecta of rushing, receiving, and running touchdowns. So he set the bar new. Somebody needs to do that and also run the ball for 95 yards or more in order to knock McCaffrey out of the playbook. And that's what McCaffrey looks like in his first full week of practice with the San Francisco 49ers. And Kittle scored 2. So you had Ayuk scoring, you had Kittle scoring, you had McCaffrey scoring 2 different ways and throwing one to Ayuk for a third way. And the most frightening thing about it here on this Halloween is Deebo Samuel wasn't even active.
Yeah, right.
They didn't even have him out there.
Didn't need him.
So, and they didn't have Juszczyk, too. Who you heard he needed surgery on his finger, right? Now, and then they showed him on the sideline. He has the full-on cast and sling. So he really jacked up his hand, but when he comes back, you're going to have a fullback who can play tight end. You're going to have a running back who can play wide receiver. You got a wide receiver who could play running back, and you've got a running back who can play not only wide receiver, but quarterback. And, by the way, running back. That's the most frightening thing about it. And for the 49ers, they go into the building where the Rams knocked him out of the playoffs last year and then went to the Super Bowl and won it. In the year after that, they just get back right on their regular season horse, sweeping the Rams again. And now, who'd have thunk it? That week 2 game in which Trey Lance got carted off, suffering a season-ending injury. Who'd have thought that game might mean the most down the line for the NFC West? Because it was in that game the Niners lost Lance and put Garoppolo in, but they beat the Seahawks on that day. And Seattle's the team that they're looking up at. Because guess what? Pete Carroll's remade the Seahawks again. Joke all you want. Joke all you want. They're coming for Arizona next. And they beat Arizona. They go 6-3. They're going to fly off to Germany as a 6-3 team taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who take on the Rams next. And the Rams do not look anything like the team that they had last year at all. It's the Cooper Kupp show. They can't run it worth a lick. Allen Robinson did have his best game as a Ram, but he, got in the face of the defender who had a very, violent tussle with on the ground and taunted him right in his face and gave him a first down line, staring him right in the face. I hate the taunting rule. I think it's stupid, but it is what it is. You know what it is. You can't stare down a guy and celebrate in the direction of somebody, and he was literally face to face with him. I mean, you get a little bit of Higbee in you. I mean, Van Jefferson just finally showed up, but it's Stafford going back there and getting his ass whipped. The line is not anything close to what it was in the last few years. They're banged up. I'm concerned about the Rams, and next week's Rams-Bucks game is for which team from that dynamite divisional playoff wants to go back to the playoffs this year.
0.
I don't know, man. The winner of that game, Rams win that. They're 4-4, which ain't bad. The Bucks win it. They're 4-5. Might be in first place in that division that had the game of the day, Falcons and the Panthers. But I look at that and I see what the 49ers did yesterday with McCaffrey and without Debo and without Arik Armstead on defense. They're still banged up. They're still without some star players on defense. And they just put the bang thing on the Rams right after halftime. And offensively, McCaffrey looks as spry as it's 2018 all over again. 2019 all over again. Niners could trade Jeff Wilson tomorrow. Yeah. Get something back. Get some more of their draft picks back.
Seems likely.
That they coughed up for McCaffrey. Get something. I don't know. Trade deadlines tomorrow. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.